Let's see. Did it go? Okay, here we go. Hey, entrepreneurs, it's time to get fired up back here live on the MVP Cast, How to Become More, where we get you fired up to become more of the MVP you already are in your life and your business. I'm your host, Josh Ruiz, along with my co-host, Francois Lupien. In this week's sponsored segment, Francois is inviting everyone to join him for a free 15-minute strategy call where he's going to help unpack clarity for you in your life and your business. Our special guest today is Victoria Lynne Hannu with Heart and Soul CEO. Welcome to the show, Victoria.
Hi, Josh. Hi, Francois. Thanks for having me. I'm excited to be here.
Welcome aboard, Victoria.
Thank you.
All the way from Denver, Colorado, right?
That's a fact. All the way from Denver, Colorado.
Yeah. Interestingly enough, I'm over on the East Coast of North Carolina, and Francois is far to the north in Ontario. So we've got kind of a trifecta going on in geographical locations.
That we do.
Yeah. So Victoria, tell us a little bit about yourself and the Heart and Soul CEO business that you have.
Well, Heart and Soul CEO is started because in my business and what I do is it's really about helping other entrepreneurs to really transform and to really move past the crises that we have, to move past those friction times. It can get real discouraging being an entrepreneur.
Absolutely.
And I'm a mom and I'm a grandmom and I'm an entrepreneur. I've been in business for 20 years and been there, done that pretty much. It's been a journey and I'm still here.
That's awesome. Persistence does pay off.
That it does. And really, it's those things when you're in business that can really get going and go crazy and get in your way, right? And you want to grow. Well, what do they tell you when you want to grow? They tell you, oh, you've got to market more, get more revenue, get more sales, and put systems in place. But what they don't tell you is, it's the people side. It's you. It's in your head that will get in the way. And if you have a team, that team can take you down or it can help you grow. And oftentimes the team we start with isn't the one that will help us scale and grow.
Nice.
That's a good point.
I love it. For what we do, we like heart-centered and service-driven entrepreneurs. And so you seem to fit right in there to help the people that it's not all about strategies, but also us, because everything goes through us. And if there's filters here, we need to get rid of them.
Yeah, my favorite saying is it's an inside job and the outside shows you where to look.
Ooh,
nice. I like that. Indeed. Yeah. That's true. Yeah. Our environment is but our looking glass. What's happening is a reflection of us.
Exactly. And cool. That hit me several years ago when I was coming out of the gym, because one of the things I like to do is lift weights. And I was coming out of the gym and it's like I could feel my muscles, but the outside wasn't looking at all like what I was feeling on the inside.
That's always the case coming out of the gym, right?
Yeah, but it is with our heads too, because it has to change inside before you see any change outside. And we get so impatient.
Yes.
You mentioned something because we asked questions before, and there's an approach that you talk about that maybe you like. I don't know if you go deep into this or not. Where he says a quantitative analyst, and I find stories hidden in your numbers.
Yes.
And this is interesting. Can you expand on this? Because it's like intriguing to me.
Okay. So the numbers. So we have lots of numbers, right? In our business, we have your profit and loss. You have your balance sheet. You have numbers. There are numbers all around us in the world, right? You even have numbers there's numerology based on when you were born and, astrology numbers and all that kind of thing. But the numbers that you interact with on a regular basis are your revenue numbers, your sale, the sales, because sometimes the sales conversation doesn't necessarily turn into a sale at that moment in time. So you have a lot of key performance indicators. You have everything from the number of team members you have and what they're doing, productivity, right? Well, it's how you feel about the numbers. When you feel something about your numbers, I've seen entrepreneurs not want to look at their bank account and avoid looking at their bank account. I've seen entrepreneurs not invoice somebody or get an invoice out because they're so busy delivering to another customer that they don't invoice for the previous customer. And then they let that invoice go. I had one client that I was helping her catch up on these invoices that they hadn't sent. And oh my gosh, it had been a year. And the client said, "We've been asking you for the invoice. Sorry, it's done. We're not paying it." Because it was over a year old. And it's like, if you don't look at your numbers, you have a story going on in your head. They mean something to you. How you feel about them, they mean something to you. You get an overwhelm. All of those kind of things around your numbers. Well, one of the things that I can do really easy is find those stories like that. It's like, it doesn't take me long to find
so basically what you were talking about before, that the outside results that we have are a reflection of us. Therefore, those numbers are reflecting our performance. And so
They are.
There may be a correlation and maybe like almost a wake-up call saying, hey, you need to look at these things. They're talking to you right now and you're not listening. And so that is so, and we do need to listen. But I understand, ladies and gentlemen, all of us entrepreneurs, sometimes we have so many plates that are Swiss spinning, and we have to make that some of them we not necessarily take as much attention as we need to. But there are numbers that are more important than others. And unless we know which one they are and how to do something about it, then we're doing the ostrich syndrome. We're putting our head in the sand and saying, it's okay, it's okay. Well, it's not. You need to get that head out of there. And so you help people in the gentle way to actually do that, correct?
Exactly. It's like, what's the story going on in your head about that? There are people that, I love what I do because I'm passionate about what I do. I want to make an impact. I want all my clients and everybody to show up as who they are from the soul level out. And that's what the world needs. The world needs everybody to come out, right? With who they are and bring their unique gifts, because each of us have our own unique gifts. And those stories keep us hidden. And if you don't bring them out and change the stories to what's real, it's crazy. And people that want to make an impact oftentimes say, it's not about the money. I don't want to do, I don't want to talk about the money. I don't want to look at the money. I don't want to, I don't want to look at my numbers. Well, like you said, Francois, that's the ostrich putting their head in the sand.
And usually those people are broke.
They are. They're broke. You can't make an impact in the world if you're broke.
Absolutely.
That is well said, Victoria. And I want to point that out just for a second, because a lot of times people get consumed in that, they follow their passion and they're shameful of being able to make money in doing it, right? Or going after something that they can make money in to get them to maybe a different passion. And then truly, we live on an economic planet, right? We all thrive in abundance, and we're all here as creators, right? As creators to live in abundance, right? So there's nobody that should live in impoverished, livings, right? And as entrepreneurs, we create our own destiny, right? We pave the way for whatever that path looks like. So pave the way of abundance and wealth. And guess what? There's enough for everybody. There's no shortage. And when you believe that, you can see it and you can get it. And, it may not be tomorrow, may not be next week, but over time, your belief will bring you your abundance and wealth.
Absolutely.
Just for fun, interesting fact on this that it just reminded me. In North America alone, there is enough wood to build a 2,000 square foot home for every individual on Earth. Hello. this is insane. And people say, oh, there's not enough to go around. We're just talking about houses now. There's enough fruit that rots at the bottom of the Amazon forest to nourish the whole earth. That's the fruit that's down, not the ones on the trees. So there is abundance. That mindset that we have of, hey, there's not enough, watch it, keep what you got, the hoarding syndrome, or things that are just stopping us from our own wealth that wants to come our way. We've been created as you said, we're creators, but the creator wants us to be abundant. There's abundance everywhere, and he wants us to partake. And so it needs to flow through us. The challenge is, and when it comes and we hoard, well, then you just stop the process. Don't do that. It's coming, give back, and know that more is going to come. And the more flows through, the bigger you become. And as you become bigger, then more can flow through you. And from that, you'll be able to enjoy life, but then help others as well enjoy life more. This actually, now I'm getting fired up on this. This is exciting because that's what it is. We have to stop standing in the way of our own. Get off the hose of abundance coming here. That's what I like to do. I like to push people off that hose. And then the flow starts to, where was that? It was always there. It's just you were stepping on that hose. Get away from it and let it flow.
Oh, definitely. And the thing is, too, right along with you, Francois, is when you're talking about the bigger you get, the more abundance you have. Well, that's a fact, because abundance can only fit in the vessel that is available. And if you're not a big enough vessel and you've shrunk yourself down to this tiny place, then it takes a while to build that vessel back out, because we're all born with a huge vessel. You know, if you've ever been in a house or walked into a room with a baby in it, you can feel the energy of the baby. You know, it's like everywhere. That baby is a huge vessel because their full spirit is right there with them, right? And so we have to return to that vessel of who we are.
Interesting what you said.
Yes.
See, in life, Bob Proctor says the way to fly was always here. Internet was always here. We weren't aware of it. But once you're aware of something, it happens. And I have 6 kids, and right now the 5th grandchild's on its way. And what you mentioned is something that I have felt, but never were able to put words in it. It's true. When you come into a house where there's a new baby, everybody is like, I didn't know what it was, but you mentioned it. It's the energy that it has is so big. And Josh just had another child not too long ago. And so the same thing, you come in that room where the child is, it's like, it's almost encompassing. Very nice. See, life has so many treasures that unless we're aware of them and be guided by others, that's why we need coaches. That's why we need other people to help us understand what's going on. Once we understand it, then we can get more of it and then give more out. This is so powerful. I like that. I like that thing of the baby. I'm going to share with my wife after this. This is cool.
Yeah, it's something that is just, you know, I became aware of it a long time ago. And what you were talking about, Francois, is awareness, right?
Yes.
And the first thing that we need to do to be able, when we have that mirroring of what's reflecting our inside out, is we have to be aware of that, right? The first thing to do is be aware. And the second is to acknowledge that it actually exists, which is what we just talked about with the baby. Is you've been aware of it, not sure what it is, and now we just acknowledged it.
Yeah, and it's so true what you're saying, Victoria. I mean, like Francois said, I have, my oldest is 18 months and the youngest just turned 6 months, or something like that. They're real close. Just so the wow doesn't get to you too much. But when I go into the room with them, they are like, the energy flows. You know, we have this big playroom for them, and it flows. You know, the excitement. The little one's about to start crawling, and she's sitting up on her own. She said "Dada" this morning. So there's just so much abundance of energy and prosperity, you know, and just those little joys that they have. You know, and what Francois was saying, Bob Proctor says it all the time with children. You know, they come preconditioned, but they have a clean slate, right? And it's amazing to see children, you know, learn stuff and start speaking and having these movements, right? Because they're so clear. It's so fresh, right? There's no intercepting of negativity or garbage or anything that we experience as adults, right? And you can see like what a clear mind operates like, And for me, it's been amazing to see, and it's been an enormous transformation. I just want to kind of point that out on the theme that you were talking with. And since we're so fired up, let's segue into. I think I know what you're going to lead with, but tell us a little bit more about what gets you fired up along the lines of the numbers and the stories. I'm really interested in hearing this.
Well, what gets me fired up is that when people are caught in their stories, one, I love to find the stories, but one thing about me is I go deep, right? I just dive in and we go with my clients, friends, I go deep. We get the stories out of the way. And when I find those stories, it's amazing how many aha moments come out of it for my clients. And it's those ahas that go open up and allow the soul to shine some more, right? Mm-hmm. Because so many times around society, we've snuffed out our own light. And I'm really here to help the entrepreneurs that have a message, that are parents that want to teach, that, really want to make a difference because they have an impact with others, and it's spreading that impact. And can you imagine a world where business is conscious to the point where people, passion, purpose, and profits are all aligned with heart and soul? That people come out from their soul. It's just imagine that. And that's what fires me up, is to see something like that. We're in a place where the world is in transition and transforming. And now more than ever, entrepreneurs that want to make a difference, that are bringing products, that are bringing services that we've never seen before. I mean, just thinking about what's happening. I follow a futurist, and just the imagination that's been unleashed after these last few years, and even before that, is just expanding exponentially. We have an abundance of people that are receiving those things that are, as you had talked about, Francois, that have always been there, like to fly, like Bob Proctor was saying. All these things and these possibilities are out there. And the more I can help people show up and bring that to the world, and do it within a framework and a structure that gives them that bounce. I don't like to say solid foundation. Have you ever tried to bounce off of cement?
It works, but it hurts.
It works, but it hurts, and it can damage your bones, right?
Yeah.
Now, but kids love to bounce on trampolines. How far can you go with that, right?
Yeah.
How far can you fly? Get some wings.
I like
One
that.
thing that I really liked about what you said is the fact that, and I'll rephrase it in one way and tell me if that resonates. When we have everything in our head, and when it's in our head, it's all over the place, and making sense of that is numbing to the point that sometimes you go, and then we just forget about it. But when you're talking to someone and you said go deep, they're unpacking this and then oftentimes putting it on paper. And when you put it on paper, what happens is it's out of here and it starts to be there. And now we can deal with it in an orderly fashion rather than being all over the place. And that is what enables people to understand more of themselves. I like to do exercise called NPAs to PAs, your non-productive activities, and then you transform them into your productive activities, your PAs. And when you do the NPAs, I do it sometimes. That's your non-productive activities, the results that you don't like. What is it that you do? And I write it down. I go, what? I'm doing this? And it's like an aha moment, because when it's in your head, you don't realize it. But once you're doing the exercise, it's out of your head, and you look at it and go, whoa, no. And now it's easier to do. So that's why we need others to help us do that unpacking. Doing it alone, we slack off. We get ourselves off the hook. That's what we do. Alone, that's what we do. Oh, it's not that bad. It's okay. And see, I like to say, if we're not bleeding and broken arms, we say everything's fine. But if the bank account is empty and the business is not thriving, we are bleeding and we have a broken arm, but we're not realizing it. But if someone else says, no, look, it's not happening right now. Okay, now you can start dealing with it. because we see the life this way, but people see us this way. So we have different perspective, and it's the perspective of others that can help us see us better. I like to say that peanut butter inside the jar doesn't know it's peanut butter. You read the label and you say, hey, you're peanut butter, but it doesn't know because it's inside the jar. So what we are, we don't know the label that's outside. Others can read it and help us understand it better and then tweak it if you want to change. This is, yeah, I like that.
That is
Exactly. Exactly. And the biggest thing is too, like you were talking about, all that stuff stuck in the head. And, I know it's an old cliche that you can't see the forest for the trees. You can't see it when you're in it. And it takes that collaboration. It takes that connection to really see what's going on, and the converse, what's possible. Because if you just look at what's going on, you just get more of what's going on.
Yeah.
Because that's where you put your focus, right? And that's one of the things that happens when we get in our heads and by ourselves, is that we see the problem and see more of the problem and see more of the problem. So we predetermine the next results to be the same as what we have, because we just been right there. And so it takes that outside look, somebody that's willing to really tell you what's going on, what they see, and not hold back.
And from business standpoint, as entrepreneurs, we all have challenges. When people say, how's it going? Oh, it's going great. But we know deep inside that sometimes we have challenges. So what are some of the biggest challenges that you had to face, and how did you overcome it? And the reason I'm asking this question, we ask all our guests, is to show other entrepreneurs that, yes, we all do struggles, but there's hope because there's ways to come up on top. So share that with us, please.
Okay. So really, when I look over 20 years, we've had in business, I'm in business with my husband. He's 25% partner, and he handles the tech side of the business. And we've done things we've gone over. So some of the things that I've done is do the bright, shiny object syndrome, where, you think you're wrong and you think you're going down a wrong path. So something looks better. So then you chase after that, whether it's to create something new, do a different business. I've done a different business. I went from my business, doing business coaching, kept it going, and then turned it around and started doing real estate and came back, right? Hit the real estate market in 2008, and just right timing, right? Because sometimes the things we want to do are great, but our timing is off. And it's really important to pay attention to timing. But ultimately, through all my up and down adventures as an entrepreneur, from making money to going broke, that seems to be a standard pattern for some reason, but it all has to do with what's going on in our heads. And that's the part that is really important, is it's been my self-doubt that's gotten in my way. And that has been the biggest challenge. And to move past that, one is understanding more in depth of me. Who am I in more depth, right? One of the things I use in my business is a science called human design. They have a version for personal and they have a version for business. So I have somebody that will do helps me with an analysis for my clients, understanding who we are energetically and how we're made, as well as understanding that our feelings aren't always about us. They're about something else. I'm designed to be skeptical about and doubt what other people are saying if it doesn't ring right with me. Not designed to self-doubt, but I turned it inward. And so doubting my path and doubting the effect and the impact that I can make was really the ultimate biggest challenge, because it was inside me. The outside was just a great reflection of my doubt, not doubt, doubt, not doubt, doubt, not doubt.
Interesting. I love the fact that you just mentioned something that most entrepreneurs, we're on the entrepreneurial path because we had a pain, we had a challenge, we had something that was stopping us, and then we overcame it. And then when we overcome it, go, wow, this is great. And now we want to turn around and says, okay, I can help people with this. because I've been through it. And so it's an interesting part of entrepreneurship that we have overcome challenges, and now we're so fired up that we've overcome them, they want to share with others. And as we do that, they overcome it, and now we're even more fired up. So in essence, we're sharing our passion and our discoveries with others so they too can grow. And this what makes it so powerful, that it's not the money, so to speak, that attracted you. It's how much money can I make doing this business? It's not. If you're doing that, you're going to realize that you're climbing the ladder. And then when you get to the top of the ladder, you're going to realize you're on the top of the wrong building. You're going to have to go back down and do it again. And so chasing the money is exactly what you're going to be doing. Chasing the money. Mm-hmm. If you do your passion and you help others, money's going to come to you. So that's a shift, and it's a powerful one. But I love what you said. When it gets tough, sometimes instead of facing it, we look outward. So something that's brighter and easier, and we try and go for it instead of facing it. And that is a flaw in our character ourselves. Everybody, let's not shun from the challenge. The challenge is there to clean the dross out of you, to purify you so you can get stronger to the next level. That's what it's about. And when you embrace it, and it's not going to be easy, but when you embrace it, it's going to be the fastest way to growth, because you're going to get stronger to solve it rather than run away from it.
Like reverse osmosis.
Yeah, I often say, and this is interesting thing, and that's an opinion that's going to polarize me. In this world now, when it's not working, let's change it. And there's a lot of divorce that's going on because, I don't like him anymore. I don't like her anymore. Well, tough it up. I've been married 31 years. She's the love of my life, but we have ups and downs, and you have to work through them. And when you do, you get so much stronger. Because if you let go, then guess what? You bring your friggin' baggage to the other relationship, and you're still screwed because it doesn't work. It's not others, it's you. And that's a hard thing at first to swallow. But once you start to swallow this, it's me. Therefore, guess what? You can do something about it, because it's you. It's no longer, she or he or him or her. Forget about that stuff. It's you. And now you can get stronger and stronger. As you can tell, I'm very passionate about this.
and what you're talking about too is it's about that strength in owning what you do. It enables you to really make decisions that move you forward, regardless of the outside influence. Because as kids, we're trained to look to the outside for our knowledge, for what to do. Because, I was raised that way, is we know better, the parents know better. Well, guess what? Josh, you're in a perfect place for it with your kids to let them make their decisions, because, other than keeping them from running into the street or putting their hand on the hot stove, they know what they're here to do, because their soul is really old. It is super old and knows what to do. There's no, they have a path and they know what it is. And so some of the rest of us have been experienced that containment or restriction from the outside, saying we have to look outside. So that's why, as entrepreneurs, we tend to look outside versus inside to start with.
Yeah. And on that note too, Victoria, I was, and you may have a similar scenario. I was taught, that once you got out of school, the use of your imagination kind of ended, right? And fast forward to the last, 3 or 4 years with personal development, it's actually uncovered that, the imagination evolves as we evolve in our age, right? And it's to be further used and further developed and further tapped into, because it's like, I think Earl Nightingale says it's like a vein of solid gold when you tap into that thing, right? Mm-hmm. And it's interesting that we just been conditioned. I think it's intentionally done that way, because, it pushes up a small minority, right? While everybody kind of stays, suppressed, as they say, right? But as entrepreneurs, we have the ability to use our imaginations, and a lot of us do, right? And that's how we end up, in the positions that we're in the businesses that we're in. I mean, what you described, it kind of sounds like we had a guy a few weeks ago that was a fractional CFO, right? He does numbers and stuff. And that's kind of what you do, if I'm hearing you right, but you take it to a different degree with the storytelling and the feelings and the emotions, and you use your imagination in that in depth. So you're not just computing numbers, right? You have a story behind it.
The
And that's
story
where the
behind the numbers.
emotion moves the process, right? It's more than just here's your numbers, have a nice day, right? It's feeling involved. And that's what we all need, right? We all need to be more in tune with our feelings and emotions, because that's how we help one another. And that's how, we impress passion and love and excitement, right? You can't have love and excitement without some good feelings.
Right. Well,
And how about we get a good feeling? I just want to move along here something, because you have an MVP formula that you can share with the audience. You say it's an inside job and the outside shows us where, and you have an exercise that we can do. So it's fun to have experiential information also that we can have when we do a podcast. So how about we get into that one?
all right. So the thing is so if something is out there that you don't like, right? We're talking about, and this is an inside job, and it shows you where. So the first thing, and we've kind of talked about this along the way, is the first step is to become aware of it. And when you see something that irritates you, frustrates you, any of those kind of things, makes you angry, the first thing to do is to stop. Notice, which is becoming aware of it, and then to acknowledge it. And if something, and this one's really easy to look at it, because irritation, frustration, and anger all come from expectations not being met. So the first thing to do is ask, to acknowledge it, is ask yourself the question, what expectation do I have of this person, of this situation, for it to be a certain way? Well, what's that expectation I have? And then it shows, then sometimes you don't get the answer right away. I'd like to call this an inquiry. It's like, what is that expectation? Because the first thing when we're angry is to point the fingers to blame. And guess what? There's 3 fingers coming back at us.
Yes.
Right? When we point the blame. Oh, so-and-so did that. They made me angry. Well, guess what? They didn't make you angry. You were already there. They didn't live up to an expectation that you have of how they're supposed to be. And so it's really
how do you change that? Someone's got an expectation. Let's say I expect you to do something, and then it's not happening. And so how do we solve that expectation of shortcomings, for example? Let's put it on a business. Let's have an idea. Yeah, you're a business owner. Then you have some salespeople, and then they're supposed to produce a certain level, and we decide that this is going to be it, but it's not happening. So I have expectation. It's not happening. Now I'm not happy because you agreed with it and you're not doing it. How can you deal with this?
Exactly. First of all, it's about looking back inside, right? Did you really set the expectation? Did you give them the tools that their new salespeople? Did you give them the tools that they need? Is your message clear? Are they on
back to us? It's not again blaming.
Exactly. So is your message clear? Are you clear about the vision and the mission and the purpose of your business? Is it such that other people can buy in? It's hard to sell something you don't buy into, and your sales team isn't going to go if they're not really buying in, and if they're just chasing the dollars, like you said earlier. So it's always an inside job. Always. You got to start there and look at, what did I do? How have I put things together? Have a conversation with them. It's not about you guys are doing a lousy job. It's like, did you hire the right people to do the job?
Yes.
Nice. Are they really a fit? Because the fit in a company from a culture standpoint, an innovation standpoint, is so important. And I've been reading a book recently that I just totally resonate with, and I haven't read it before, but it's totally in alignment with my philosophy and everything, is Let My People Go Surfing by Yvon Chouinard, who's the founder of Patagonia, the company Patagonia.
Yes, in Quebec City.
excellent book, an excellent approach to working with people and talking about how you bring people in that are on board with your mission. They're on board with your vision.
Yes.
And they are as passionate about what you do as you are.
Yeah.
And that's key. And so if it's not going right, it's not going right because it's you.
And leaders take responsibility, right?
They do.
Exactly. Awesome. Well, that's a good way, a good time to segue into our infamous question that we always ask Victoria, and that is your fun and superpower.
Yes. If you had a superpower, what would it be?
Well, my superpower, one of them is telling the stories in the numbers. But the other superpower, I guess, is working the magic, right? It's that magic piece of the energy of working with transformation, like we all are. I mean, that's one of them. And I love that. I don't think there's anything that's not possible.
I love that. I agree with you 100%. I think, and when you think about it, just off the cusp, right? Have we evolved, right? All these things, somebody had to imagine it, right? Somebody had to come to thought with it, right? So it really puts it in perspective that what are the limits, right?
Mm-hmm.
There are none. There are none. We can go to the moon and land with precision timing and have a spacesuit that protects us and gives us oxygen. Why can't we do anything, right?
Exactly.
It's all the limit that we set upon ourselves.
And yes, gravity, but we can still fly, right?
Absolutely.
Yes. What's gravity? What does that do?
If you try to fly without proper stuff, you might hit the ground and go flat and splat, but
might bounce off, right?
Depends on if you've got a mattress filled with gel or whatever.
Yeah.
hit the end. But the thing is gravity isn't the same on the moon, right? So if you don't want to be attached to gravity, you have the option to go to the space station, to the moon.
Actually, check this out. This is something amazing. Gravity.
We need to go to the moon, Francois.
Is different on Earth in some places. You go in Hawaii, you weigh more than you are in where I am right now. This is insane. It's because the density of the Earth below you has got a bigger gravity pull. So I didn't know this, but there's places in the world where you travel and you weigh heavier, and some places you're lighter. This is amazing. Why am I saying this? There are laws, there are things that exist out there that we don't know, and because we don't know them, we're not empowered. We need to find out more. We need to get in touch with people that know to help us find out the things that are powerful for us to liberate us from that gravity pull, so to speak, so that we can do all sorts of things. Like you say, let's go surfing. Yeah, let's go surfing. Let's make it happen. And so life is fantastic to be lived, and it's awesome. So yeah, I really share this. So if someone was to want to get a hold of you, how can they do that, Victoria?
Well, they can get a hold of me through the contact form on my website, which is heartandsoulceo.com. They can email me at victoria@heartandsoulceo.com.
All this will be below the video, so all that information will be with that presentation that we have in the podcast. So that's cool as well. And so your favorite way is through email to communicate with you?
Email, or they can also call me. It's the numbers on the information too, 720-663-9057. And that's my business line. They can get a hold of me. Happy to set up a call and a time to have a conversation just to see what's going on in their business. Because one of the things I also love to do is if I can't help you, I'll connect you with somebody who can.
Excellent.
Awesome.
Love it. Heart-centered, service-driven. You're awesome, Victoria.
Indeed. Well, thank you for joining us, Victoria. We do appreciate it. And Francois has a beautiful quote for us this week. Go ahead, Francois.
I don't know if it's a quote, more of a story.
Oh, story.
Clarity enables us to be focused. You're not seeing it right now, but I got this little magnifying glass. And if I make a white bead, then it's working. If I'm all over the place, I'm not using the magnifying glass for its purpose. Oftentimes, says I'm clear on what I want to do, but the question I ask is, if the results that you're getting are not in harmony with the clarity that you want, are you as clear as you think you are about the plan and the process for you to get you there? And sometimes an outside perspective can help you to do so. I invite you to book a call with me. I got a link somewhere that Josh says is going to be 15 minutes. Let's find out the clarity that you have, because unless you're clear, a confused mind takes no action. So if you find that sometimes you get up and you don't know what to do next, or I'm going there, but you're not sure of the steps, that's a fair sign that your clarity is not as crisp as it can be. Because when it is, situation, life comes at us, and then when it comes at us, says, this helps me, boom. This comes at us, this doesn't help me, out. You can make decisions so much faster and you're not drained. It's important to be clear and have other perspective of people to find out if our clarity is as clear as we think it is. And oftentimes it's not. Sometimes it is. So let's discover together. Appreciate you guys. We need to be fired up about what we're doing. And how? The more clear you are about where you're going, the more fired up you're going to be, because you got the oomph and the power. And if it comes, as Victoria says, from within, then we can go in the world and make a better impact. Better impact, greater income, more freedom. Let's make this happen. That gets fired up. You are the MVP of your life.
That's right. Thank you, Francois. And as Victoria said, I think she said it best, it's an inside job. So be sure to look from the inside and reach within your unlimited potential so that you can be the MVP of your life and your business. We appreciate you joining us this week. Thank you, Victoria, for coming on air with us. We appreciate you. And until next time, you all make it an awesome day.
Thanks.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.